Good morning. We'll continue with our poem Elegy written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray. Lines 37 to 40. Nor you, ye proud, impute to these the fault, if memory over the tomb no trophies raise, where through the long drawn ale and fretted vault the pealing anthem swells the note of praise. The speaker or the poet here has some more advice for the proud, rich, and people with haughty ideas. He addresses them as ye proud and tells them not to blame these dead poor people if they didn't have fancy monuments over their graves. Trophies here means monuments or elaborate graves after they are dead. So, nor you ye proud impute to these the fault, if memory over their tomb no trophies raise. So he advises the rich, proud people and says that they should not blame these poor dead people if they don't have any beautiful or fancy monuments made on their graves. He again personifies and says it's like the speaker is displacing the blame. He says that memory failed to put up fancy trophies or monuments. He is personifying memory. He says that the memory has failed to put up fancy trophies or monuments, but really, would not that be the responsibility of the families of the dead people? But of course, the dead people in the churchyard or dead farmers or villagers in the churchyard are mostly poor farmers, so obviously their families wouldn't be able to afford a fancy monument, marble monument in the church for them. The last two lines of the stanza describe the church itself, the place where the monuments are maybe displayed. The bell that marks the passing of a member of the church peals in praise of his or her life all through the aisles of the church and up to its high arch, that is vaulted, is arched, ornamentally carved. Fretted means the ceiling, which is ornamentally carved. Can storied urn or animated bust back to its mention call the fleeting breath? Can honor's voice provoke the silent dust, or flattery soothe the dull cold ear of death? In these lines or in this stanza, the poet puts a rhetorical question or some rhetorical questions. The speaker is still addressing the proud and rich people, the one who had imagined or who might have mocked the lowly farmers in the churchyard in the earlier stanza. He asks them whether a fancy urn, fancy storied urn or animated bust. He says that whether a fancy or beautiful urn which holds the remains of the dead person or a lifelike bust could call the breath back to a dead person and make him breathe again. It means he is mocking at them that these things cannot bring the person back. Fancy urns in which a person's remains are stored, or a real like bust or a statue which is made to commemorate a dead person, cannot bring back the dead person and make him breathe again. Except he doesn't say so quite that directly, he uses a metaphor. The dead person's body is a mansion, a house, a big house, and the speaker personifies the urn and the bust asking if they can call the dead person's breath back to the mention of their body. That is, can the body that is called a mention, can a person's breath come back to that house? And again, a second rhetorical question he puts. He asks that if the voice of honor, it is another personification, can provoke the silent, dusty remains of a dead person to speak again, or whether flattery, it is again a personification, can make the cold ear of death feel better about being dead. So, obviously, the answer to both these rhetorical questions is that no, this cannot be done, or a person who is dead cannot be brought back to life. Perhaps in this neglected spot is laid some heart once pregnant with celestial fire, hands that the rod of empire might have swayed or waked to ecstasy the living lyre. Now the speaker is reflecting on what type of persons or people might be lying in the graves that are unmarked in this churchyard, because there are no names on the graves. Maybe in the churchyard there lies a person whose heart was once full. Pregnant here means full of celestial fire. This again is like a metaphor, since no one's heart is literally full of fire, celestial or otherwise. Celestial fire is a metaphor of passion, for passion. Maybe in the churchyard there lies a person whose hands could have ruled an empire, or someone whose hands could have played a lyre so well that the lyre would have become conscious. That's playing a lyre means here. So he says that because there are no names written on the graves, there may be some person whose heart was filled up with celestial fire, means a passion, full of passion, and a person so much a great musician who could have played a lyre, like that lyre would have become conscious. So nobody knows their names, and they are people who are forgotten, and there are no names or beautiful graves for them.